Deep within for an even more magnificent future. The people of Owu were renowned throughout the Yoruba lands for their exceptional bravery. Legendary Oduduwa himself. He was not merely a ruler, he was a symbol of their heritage, a living embodiment of their inhabitants. These fortifications were not merely physical barriers, they were a symbol of Owu's determination to protect its sovereignty. Entitled to special privileges and deference, Owu increasingly dictated terms to its neighboring To Owu, their neighbors were growing increasingly weary of their arrogance and overbearing behavior. The by resentment and watered by their own hubris, waiting for the opportune moment to sprout and bring the mighty kingdom to its knees. Owu's downfall, a tragic tale etched in the annals of Yoruba history, didn't begin with the clash of swords or the thunder of war drums. It wasn't a sudden invasion or a premeditated act of aggression that brought this once proud kingdom to its knees. Instead, the seeds of destruction were sown in a far more subtle and insidious manner. It started not with war, but with a seemingly insignificant argument, a spark in the tinderbox of regional tensions within the bustling and vibrant Apomu market. This marketplace, a melting pot of cultures and commerce, was usually a place of lively exchange and mutual benefit. But on this fateful day, it became the stage for a drama that would reshape the political landscape of the entire region. An Owu trader, perhaps emboldened by the perceived strength of his kingdom, acted rudely and disrespectfully towards an Ife merchant, igniting a dispute that quickly escalated beyond mere words. The initial offense, whatever its nature, was compounded by the Owu trader's arrogance and refusal to acknowledge any wrongdoing, and instead of trying to make peace, instead of seeking a resolution that would de-escalate the situation, Owu, fueled by a sense of superiority, made the fight worse, further inflaming the already volatile situation. What began as a minor disagreement was quickly spiraling into a major diplomatic crisis. They were sure that their power and influence were so great that no one, not even the mighty Ife, could possibly touch them or challenge their authority. This hubris, this overweening pride, would prove to be their undoing. When Ife, seeking to maintain peace and stability in the region, asked for things to be made right, for some form of apology or restitution to be offered, Owu answered with blatant disrespect, dismissing Ife's concerns and refusing to acknowledge any responsibility for the incident. This act of defiance was a slap in the face, not only to Ife but to all the kingdoms in the region who valued diplomacy and peaceful resolution of conflicts. And in a move that would have far-reaching consequences, Owu closed important trade routes, effectively strangling the economic lifelines of its neighbors. This blockade severely hurt the nearby towns' economies, causing widespread hardship and resentment. The flow of goods and resources, essential for the prosperity of the region, was abruptly cut off, leading to shortages, price increases, and widespread discontent. This was more than just being rude or inconsiderate. It was a clear statement that Owu believed they were in charge, that they could dictate terms to their neighbors and act with impunity. The trade route block hurt Ijebu and other kingdoms badly, impacting their economies and their people's livelihoods. This transformed a simple market fight into a matter of shared honor and collective survival, uniting previously disparate kingdoms against a common threat. Owu's pride had clearly gone too far, blinding them to the consequences of their actions and isolating them from their neighbors. This ultimately resulted in turning long-standing neighbors and potential allies into bitter enemies, setting the stage for a devastating conflict. The surrounding kingdoms in the area began to realize that Owu's excessive pride and aggressive actions posed a threat to the entire region, and that unchecked ambition would ultimately hurt them all. In hushed tones and clandestine meetings, whispers of joining together in a united front against Owu started to spread like wildfire, fueled by a shared sense of injustice and a desire for self-preservation. The stage was now set, the pieces were in place, and everything was ready for a final, devastating showdown that would determine the fate of Owu and reshape the balance of power in the Yoruba world. Anger spread like wildfire through the Yoruba kingdoms. fueled by Owu's actions. Recognizing the severity of the situation, the Uni of If called for action, bringing allies and friends together to stand against Owu's growing pride. Ijebu, already suffering greatly from the trade block, joined the alliance happily and without hesitation. They brought much-needed money to fund the war effort, and a considerable number of soldiers to bolster the ranks. The EGBA people, primarily wanting safety and security for their communities, and the rapidly growing and strategically important city of Ibadan, also promised their help and support to the alliance. This diverse group brought together not only military strength but also spiritual power, financial power, and invaluable local knowledge of the land and its people. Owu, feeling safe and secure behind its formidable walls, remained blissfully unaware of just how much anger and resentment it had stirred up amongst its neighbors. The combined armies of the alliance gathered, their sights set firmly on defeating Owu and restoring balance and order to the region once again. War drums sounded loudly across the land, signaling the advance as the unified group moved purposefully forward. The long-awaited attack on Owu was finally about to begin, a crucial test of pride and isolation against the strength of unity and working together. The storm of war had indeed arrived, ready to unleash its fury. The combined armies, a coalition of forces united by ambition and grievance, encircled Owu. Their arrival was a spectacle of might, a testament to the power amassed against this single defiant city. The siege was about to begin, a clash of wills and resources that would determine the fate of Owu and reshape the balance of power in the region. The once fertile farmlands surrounding Owu were transformed into a sprawling sea of tents, a temporary city erected by the besieging armies. The fields that had once provided sustenance were now covered in the symbols of war, the crops replaced by the implements of destruction. The sheer scale of the encampment was designed to intimidate, a constant reminder of the overwhelming force arrayed against the city. Owu's walls were legendary, renowned throughout the land for their imposing height and formidable strength. They were more than just a physical barrier, they were a symbol of the city's resilience, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of its people. These towering earthen fortifications had withstood countless attacks, and the defenders of Owu believed they could withstand this one too. Knowing the strength of Owu's defenses, the Allied commanders convened a war council, meticulously planning their strategy. They understood that a direct assault would be costly and potentially futile. Instead, they resolved to settle in for a protracted siege, a war of attrition designed to slowly strangle the city. The primary objective was to isolate Owu completely, hoping to force its surrender by cutting off all access to supplies and starving its inhabitants into submission. A strict blockade was established, preventing any goods or people from entering or leaving the city. The noose was tightening around Owu, slowly but surely. Despite the overall strategy of containment, small-scale skirmishes erupted frequently between the besieging forces and the defenders of Owu. These were often opportunistic encounters, probing attacks designed to test the enemy's defenses or disrupt their operations. Owu's warriors, fiercely protective of their home, met every challenge with unwavering courage, defending every inch of ground with tenacity and skill. They were determined to repel the invaders and preserve their city's independence. The defense of Owu was a testament to their bravery and commitment. Within the city walls, the Olowu, the ruler of Owu, rallied his people with stirring speeches, reminding them of their heritage and the importance of their struggle. He was a beacon of hope in the face of adversity, a symbol of their unwavering spirit. He urged them to fight with unwavering resolve, promising divine intervention and ultimate victory. His words resonated deeply with the people of Owu, bolstering their morale and reinforcing their determination to resist the siege. The Olowu's leadership was crucial to maintaining the city's defiance. The siege dragged on for what felt like an eternity. Years passed, marked by hardship, sacrifice, and unwavering resistance. Owu endured, defying the expectations of its enemies and clinging to the hope of eventual liberation. The people of Owu implemented strict rationing measures, conserving their dwindling food supplies. They worked tirelessly to repair the walls, reinforcing their defenses against the relentless attacks. Despite the grim circumstances, they held on to their hope, fueled by their unwavering belief in their city's survival. As the siege continued, the Allied forces systematically destroyed the surrounding farms, depriving Owu of any potential source of replenishment. This scorched earth policy was designed to break the city's spirit and hasten its surrender. With each passing day, the siege tightened its grip on Owu, isolating the city further and exacerbating the suffering of its inhabitants. The Allied forces were determined to crush Owu, no matter the cost. Food stores dwindled to dangerously low levels, and a sense of isolation began to permeate the city. The people of Owu felt increasingly alone, cut off from the outside world and facing an uncertain future. The siege evolved into a psychological battle, a war of attrition that tested the limits of human endurance. It was a contest of wills, a struggle between the besiegers' relentless pressure and the besieged's unwavering resolve. The patience of the attacking armies was pitted against the indomitable pride of the defenders within the city walls. Each side was determined to outlast the other, to break the enemy's spirit and claim victory. Owu's formidable walls continued to stand firm, a testament to the city's engineering prowess and the unwavering dedication of its builders. They were a symbol of resistance, a defiant challenge to the besieging armies. However, the relentless siege began to erode the people's will, pushing them to the brink of despair. The constant threat of attack, the scarcity of resources, and the ever-present hunger took their toll on the city's inhabitants. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, and a pervasive sense of sadness settled over the city, casting a long shadow over the once vibrant streets. The joy of life was slowly being extinguished, replaced by the grim reality of the siege. The siege tested the limits of their endurance, pushing them to the very edge of what they could bear. Every day was a struggle for survival, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable hardship. Ironically, the very strength of Owu's walls, which had initially provided such security, was now contributing to its downfall. The walls had become a prison, trapping the people inside and preventing them from seeking relief. The pressure continued to mount, threatening to crush the city and its people. The fate of Owu hung in the balance, dependent on the strength of its walls and the resilience of its inhabitants. The final chapter of the siege was about to be written. As the attack went on, Owu's fight turned into hopelessness. Food storage places emptied, and hunger was everywhere. Once proud citizens looked for scraps, eating leaves and leather to live. The city's spirit broke. Families turned on each other and fighters became too weak to fight, yet pride kept them quiet. Giving up was not an option. 7 years passed in pain, hope fading with each season. The friends waited, knowing time was their weapon. Sickness and hunger took the young and old first, emptying the city. Still, brave acts continued, mothers giving things up for children, fighters sharing water, but hope is hard to keep alive on empty stomachs. The attack tested Owu's soul, pushing it to the edge. The breaking point was near, the city's future was hanging by a thread. At the center of Owu's fight stood the Olowu, solid in his pride. To him, giving up meant shame and letting down their ancestors. Chiefs begged him to talk, describing the city's pain, but the king said no. He held on to old stories and his family line, saying they must fight no matter what. His strong will inspired some, but for others, it meant death. Whispers of disagreement grew. Was the king's pride worth destroying the city? The Olowu's strong will kept the city together but also trapped it in sadness. Fights inside grew as hope disappeared. The king's iron will was both a guiding light and a curse. Owu's biggest enemy was no longer outside the walls, but inside. The city was about to fall apart. In the 7th year of the attack, hopelessness led to betrayal. Akogun, a war chief, could no longer watch his people starve. He and other leaders met in secret, torn between being loyal and staying alive. They decided to open a hidden gate, letting the enemy inside. Their act was both kind and a betrayal, a last try to end the pain. A secret signal was sent to those attacking. The friends, shocked by their luck, got ready to attack. Owu's strong walls would fall not by force, but from the inside. The choice of those who planned this would forever mark their names. The city's future was sealed by its own people. The moment of truth had come. The proud fort was about to fall. Under the cover of night, Akagun and his friends opened the secret gate. The combined army rushed in, quiet and fast, catching Owu by surprise. Chaos broke out. Smoke, screams, and fire swept through the city. The invaders, made tough by years of attack, showed no mercy. Owu's fighters fought bravely but were completely outnumbered. The city's walls, once its shield, became a deadly trap. Nowhere was safe. Revenge swept through every street. The Olowu realized too late that his own people had broken before the enemy did. He died fighting, his rule ending in sadness. The city's defenses shattered, its people at the mercy of the winners. Owu's hundreds of years of pride ended in one single brutal night. The kingdom was lost, the time of Owu was over. With Owu's fall, the combined armies caused total destruction. The city was set on fire. Homes, palaces, and temples turned to ash. The night sky glowed red as Owu burned, its history wiped out. Those who lived were gathered, many killed or made slaves, others scattered as people without homes. The city's walls were torn down, its treasures stolen, its way of life destroyed. Owu's name became a sign of sadness and loss. By morning, nothing was left but smoking ruins. The combined armies had not just beaten Owu, they had erased it. The lesson was clear, even the strongest can fall. Pride had built Owu's walls, but it also brought its ruin. The kingdom was gone, its people spread out. The land where Owu stood was now only a memory. The fall of Owu became a legend, a warning told for generations. Its story teaches about the dangers of too much pride and the power of working together. Owu's greatness was real, but its pride was deadly. The group of Ife, Ijebu and others showed that working together can bring down even the strongest. Owu's mistake was being alone, forgetting the ties that connect communities. The final betrayal came from inside, a desperate act to survive. The Olowu's refusal to give up cost his people everything. Today, Owu's family members live across Yorubaland, carrying memories of their lost home. The ruins of Owu remind everyone, pride may build high walls, but only wisdom keeps them standing. The story continues, a reminder of the cost of too much pride and the need for humbleness.